Perfect.
Who better than Derek, Pat, Andrew, the wrestling crew? Man, they bout to put an end to y'all careers like a finishing move. They bout to give y'all facts on these cats that's fighting on these mats. Y'all can't see them like John Cena. Even if y'all had 20/20 vision, y'all better listen, pay attention, and take notes down and realize that it's not your time now. And watch these three kings take the crown. Ay, ay.
What is going on, guys? Mark Adam Haggerty, your favorite ring announcer, play-by-play guy, manager. I do it all. But when I'm not doing it all, I am listening to the Wrestling IQ 101 podcast, available all over the place. iTunes, TuneIn, Radio, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts, you can get Wrestling IQ 101.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Wrestling IQ 101. I'm Andrew, alongside Pat.
Yo, what's up?
And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Wrestling IQ 101. And today we're sitting with the owner of OTW, Jim Molineaux. How's it going?
Very good. How are you guys doing today?
Oh man, we're doing great, man.
So far, so good.
So let's talk about OTW. What does that brand mean to you?
It means a continuation of a dream. My dream was fulfilled with being with ECW. Now I'm able to pass on my ECW experience and emotion, what all the emotions that I felt with getting to a goal, achieving a goal. Now I'm able to pass that on to younger guys at OTW. Hopefully OTW isn't their goal, but I can help them achieve their goal. I hope for them to go further than OTW.
So, you were a ref in ECW, and we all know what ECW is, and old-time wrestling is a real family-friendly environment. So, to go from your roots at ECW, what made you want to create this type of feel at old-time wrestling?
Well, we are family-friendly, but we don't get extreme. But we kind of, at times, not very often, will teeter that line, that cliff. I wanted not really a family-friendly, but an old-school environment. I wanted an old NWA. I wanted an old Smoky Mountain. I wanted that kind of environment. That's, old-time wrestling is what OTW stands for. And I don't mean it to be, going back to your grandfathers or your grandmothers or, that old television wrestling. I want the attitude of, kayfabe, and I want the attitude of, wow, we got the crowd, we popped the crowd. I don't see that on TV anymore. I don't see the guys, or I don't get the feeling that the wrestlers, when they go back through the curtain, go, wow, we really had them in the palm of our hand. And that's the feeling that I want from the locker room with OTW. That's really what the sense of it is.
So Jim, recently you've seen one mean team make it to ROH. I mean, how did that make you feel, knowing that these guys are, getting there?
Oh, I think it's great. Those guys have worked really hard. I've known Brian since he walked through the door when OTW was part of another school, and he stayed with us. He was, I don't want to use the F word, but he was kind of fat, kind of chubby, 16-year-old kid. And if you look at him now, man, he's really gotten himself into shape, and all his dedication is his own, with maybe a little push from myself every once in a while. And Justin came to us already trained. He was the last guy trained by Matt Bourne.
Yeah.
And he came down to South Jersey and looking for a place to continue his training. And he jumped in with all the drills and everything. He didn't have an attitude of like, well, I'm already trained, so I don't need to do this. No, he came and became part of the team. And I'm really proud of what he's done. He's lost a lot of weight and gotten himself into shape too. And Jasmine came along, and man, she picks things up real quick. and she's become part of that team and part of the OTW locker room real fast, and I couldn't be prouder for all three of them. But, they're not the only success stories out of OTW. We have Nick Drake, who's doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Federated.
Up in New
Yeah,
York.
see him
He's
everywhere.
doing some Evolve, yeah. And a lot of our guys are working independents around the area, North Jersey and D2W, and some of the guys go down into Maryland for crab wrestling. Adam Chandler's also doing some of the Future of Honor stuff.
Yeah.
We're getting guys out there all over the place, and we're getting a reputation, or at least they're creating a reputation of true professionals. They know how to act in a locker room, and they're professionals in the ring. So I couldn't be prouder of not just those two, but everybody who's out there under the OTW banner out doing independent shows.
So, for a new student coming in to OTW, from an outsider, what would the mindset be if they're thinking, oh, Jim Molineaux is a ref as his background. What is he going to teach me about wrestling? What is your take about that?
Well, I'm not the one who will physically get in the ring and train with guys. First of all, one, I was never trained as a wrestler, and two, I'm too damn old now. Especially the year I've been through with physical situations, and people know it. I had a heart attack this year, so I'm not getting back in the ring. And so Brian is actually my head trainer, and he gets in the ring and works with him. But I'm able to, being the extra set of eyes that was so close to everything. Like I always say, a referee is the luckiest wrestling fan in the world because he has the best seat in the house.
It's true.
But that doesn't mean you sit back and watch the show. You still have many important roles in the match. And I think that's what makes the training at OTW a little different. I can give that third set of eyes in there how to tweak things and, feel the emotion, help them feel the emotion from the crowd. Because I look at one thing that a referee can do or should do is kind of be the emotional cheerleader for the fans. When a referee reacts to a certain move or something like that, I would hope that the fans would react in the same way. Not exactly the same way, but also be able to react to it. So I think that's a little different edge that I bring into the training at OTW.
So Jim, you've been part of ECW. What was some of your favorite moments, being there, being in the locker room or just being outside in the ring,
There's a couple that I think I was lucky to be in the ring with that are significant moments in the business. I wasn't in the ring for it, but obviously the most significant thing was Shane Douglas dropping the NWA belt. I wasn't in the ring for that, but we were all in the back, and we were like, wow, this is going to kind of help put us on the map a little further. The three-way match between Shane Douglas, Sabu, and Terry Funk, the original three-way dance, that match really put ECW on the map because at the time it was the time of tape traders, and that was a tape that got traded all over the place. And I had that match. I was lucky enough to have that. And actually, any match that I've had, I've been lucky enough to have. I really never picked the matches. A lot of times my name is already up on the board. But yeah, that matches with guys like Cactus Jack, lucky enough to do one with Steve Austin. The Molineaux Guerrero series, luckily John Finnegan and myself, we switched on and off on those matches. They're like some of the greatest matches I've ever seen between two guys. So significant things like that are what I feel are important. The day of Barely Legal, just being in the building, being part of it, that really meant something because I never thought I'd get to do a pay-per-view. So they're like the most important things to me.
And having these great opportunities to ref these matches in ECW, you we're actually in a video game. What is it like seeing yourself in a game, and what goes into that whole process of creating it?
Well, first you have to, if the game, you have to actually win the heavyweight title as Rhino to release my character. So kind of difficult. I'm kind of a difficult character to get to. But yeah, the process was pretty neat. A couple of us went up to New York in a group, which is where the company was that made it at the time. And they did the camera where you're standing on like this pedestal or whatever, and then the cameras come around and shoot around you, and they get a bio and quotes and things like that. And then you go in and record some things, so it's actually your voice on the game too. So it was a pretty interesting day to see how things are done. And then the final product was cool at the time. If you look at it now, it's like really primitive.
Yeah. Who's the best in the locker room at the game?
Oh man, I don't know. It's been so long since anyone's even like tried to play it. I think I couldn't even tell you. I know I got as far as winning the title to release my character, but if I remember the last time I actually played the game, I think I was stuck in a triple threat match with Super Crazy and Sandman.
I feel like Rob Van Dam would be really good at it.
He could be, yeah.
So, Jim, I heard you in a prior interview talk about when Paul Heyman came in and it started to become more of a family. Compare the family that you had in ECW to now the family you created at OTW.
Well, I think I've hopefully tried to create the same family atmosphere where we're all, yes, we want to put on, everyone wants to have the best match on the card, no doubt about it. But they also want the companies to succeed at the same time. Because there are people who go out there and have the best match of the card, and it end up sabotaging the card, meaning that they do everything, they outshine the main event, they go out of their way to worry about themselves. And I don't think I've created that atmosphere in the OTW locker room, even including people who are not OTW trained, guys who come in and help with us too. I think they have the same attitude of, if these shows were, it's a place for me to come and work too.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope I've created that atmosphere. I also, on the opposite side, I hope they feel that I've been completely honest with them every time. I don't think Paul, towards the end of ECW, gave off that attitude. So I want to make sure that my guys know exactly where I'm coming from every time.
Yeah, and that's important in really anything, is just to have clear expectations for what you're looking for.
Yeah, I'm completely honest with my guys, good or bad. They have to hear the bad. It's part of learning of the business.
So, probably about a year ago is when I had my first conversation with you after, one of our first episodes, and you told me one of the matches you really wanted to have was a Cowards match. And this is something I've never seen in any other promotion, and I want to know if you've put it together since then, or what your plans are as far as putting it together.
Well, I would love to. There are a lot of matches I would love to do, but part of the learning in OTW is they have the book. I shouldn't say the locker room, but someone in the locker room has the book. So all I do is make suggestions, or I might not even change things, but tweak things for the matches. So, I might make a suggestion for a match and it never get used. So if it ever comes around to me having the book, there's a lot of weird matches that I would like to bring back. Because I've been watching a lot of old wrestling shows on YouTube and on the network lately, where they've done some gimmick matches, and I don't see a problem with a gimmick match on every show, or at least on OTW's night shows, there'd be at least one gimmick match.
Yeah, and I like that idea, that part of it. Do me a favor, just tell everyone what the Cowards match is, just so they know.
Well, basically the Cowards match is, you have to build a storyline where the heel keeps walking out of the match and losing by disqualification and frustrating the face. So it finally comes down to a match where if, the first one to leave the ring is the loser called a coward and leaves town.
So, Jim, growing up, who were some of your favorite wrestlers?
I grew up in the Vince McMahon Senior WWF category. We didn't have cable, so we weren't getting the NWA and other shows into the Philadelphia market. So I grew up with Jay Strongbow, Jules Strongbow, Tito Santana, Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund. But, I kind of got drawn to the heels, too, and the managers. You had Ivan Koloff. You had Grand Wizard, who you had to have been drawn to because you never saw anybody dressed like that before.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie Blassie. So those were the guys that I started watching when I was a kid.
And you kind of touched on Brian Johnson earlier about all the things he does around old-time wrestling, but he wears a lot of hats at the promotion, and I just want to talk about the contributions that he makes around there.
Well, he's like my right-hand man. He's done a lot behind the scenes. He's run the locker room. He's been the captain of the locker room for forever. He's been our trainer. There are little things around the office that he helps out with. I'm not necessarily the greatest computer technician, so he'll handle things for me that maybe I couldn't do, or maybe I'm too old to learn or whatever. But he helps out immensely, especially, and I just mentioned it real quick. I had my heart attack 6 months ago, and Brian was right there to say, don't worry about anything, we got it covered. Just get better. Don't worry about, this week or next week or whenever you can come back, whenever you're ready to come back, It's taken care of.
So, looking into the future of OTW, who are some of the up-and-coming stars that you think might have a shot, of making it to the big time or doing more independent shows?
Well, I mentioned Mick Drake is already out there on the independents and doing some stuff, and Adam Chandler, who's probably a step away from where One Mean Team is with Future of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a masked wrestler, Valiente, who's really good. Maybe takes a little too many risks at times, which could hamper his development because of being out hurt or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'd keep an eye on Valiente. We have another tag team called High Society. Mr. Davis and the captain as a tag team, and they tend to stir things up a little bit. And we also have another one of our female wrestlers, Damaris, who's really good. She comes from a boxing family background, so she's really dedicated to what she does, and she takes that boxing training mentality that her family members have done and brings that to wrestling. And she'd be one to watch out for on the ladies circuit out there on the independents.
It's funny. One of the things, because me and Andrew, we went to the Tommy Dreamer meet and greet, and one of the things that he said was, how he's Mr. ECW, and he ended up working at WWE longer than ECW. He was only there for 5 years. And I mean, it's true because ECW is so memorable to people and it had such a cult following, but really it wasn't there for so long. I mean, you've been at Old Time Wrestling, you've been running Old Time Wrestling longer than ECW has been operational.
Right, and I was there from day one to the end of it with the original ECW run, not the if you don't count the WWE debacle that they tried to call ECW.
Yeah, and it's just crazy when you think about it because it has such a following.
So
right, yeah, I think I really compare it to like the run of a punk rock band, or I guess at the time it was a grunge band. If you look at a run of like Nirvana or that type of band, you can really compare ECW to that. We had our niche and we grew a little bit, and then we burst into flames.
That's a really good analogy, like Nirvana. That's spot on, I think.
So Jim, WWE has this show where they do like a story time or about being on the road and stuff like that. Do you have any good stories about being on the road? Any funny ribs?
I honestly, when I was on the road, I have a reputation of not traveling with the guys.
Okay.
Usually because of backstage responsibilities, I was usually one of the first ones at the building or one of the last ones to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually rode with some of the office people, but there was a weekend where we were traveling. Oh no, I'll go with this story because I just talked to Shane Douglas about this a couple of weeks ago and swear he was involved. We were going from, I think, Buffalo to Pittsburgh. It doesn't really matter which the cities are, but that's where I think it was. And it was after a show, and I think we had done TV, so I know it was probably about 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning. And we get a call, and it's Shane, and he's driving with someone else, and says, hey, watch yourself at mile marker 25 at the top of the hill. There's a dead deer in the middle lane. And, of course, there are no road crews out at 2 o'clock in the morning to pick up dead deers. So, okay, great, thanks a lot. So, mile marker 24, start going up the hill. Okay, this deer's going to be at the top of the hill. Get to the top of the hill. There's a deer in the middle lane, but it's quasi sitting up, almost like somebody took it and posed it like you ever see like the naked baby pictures, like posed pictures?
Yeah.
Right. That's what it looked like. It looked like somebody actually picked this deer up. And
oh my God.
So it wasn't until a few months ago I run into Shane and seen him forever, and I told him the story, and I said, I know you did that. And he denied it, and he said, you know what, that's such a great story. If I did it, I would definitely.
Wow. So, since you compared ECW to the Nirvana of wrestling, and one of my favorite parts about your Twitter account is the song of the day, I want to know, what's the song of the day today?
Wow, what was it today? Today it was Bare Trees by Fleetwood Mac.
What got you into doing that? Because I always love checking that every day.
I'm a huge music fan. I love classic rock. My all-time favorite band is Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, really?
And nobody really knows who they are. They're known for like maybe 2 songs. And I still go see them. I still go see them a couple of times a year with my high school buddies. We've been going together since 1977 to see them.
Wow. Yeah, I think they're on tour right now.
Yeah, so like we see them at little theaters as opposed to seeing them we used to see them at the Spectrum when we were kids. So I wanted to do something for Blue Oyster Cult. So I got to a thing where I wanted to do every Friday a Blue Oyster Cult song, and I would hashtag it. It's a BOC Friday. So I thought, well, I better do a song every day of the week. So that's just what it developed into, and it might have something to do with, that day in rock history, or a musician's birthday, or the first song I hear when I wake up, or that song that you can't get out of your head, or just like today, it was like, I haven't done a Fleetwood Mac song, and let me do one that like nobody's heard for a million years. And so Bear Trees. I was like, oh, the Bear Trees album. What's on there? And I just went, Bear Trees. Put it on there.
I'm guessing no One Direction, right?
No Direction.
Oh man. So Jim, I mean, you run shows, once a month, like a big show, and you also have shows, at 2:00 on Saturdays. Is it hard doing a show every week at 2:00?
Yes, it's really hard, especially this year.
Mm-hmm.
We do what we call a season. So we start our season from the Saturday after Labor Day to the Saturday before Memorial Day.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, since Labor Day until almost, I guess, last weekend, it has been 74 and sunny every Saturday, or 70 and sunny. There's been no rain on Saturdays. It's beautiful outside. So who wants to sit inside for a wrestling show at 2:00 in the afternoon when they're still in the pool? In fact, I just put the cover on my pool last week. So they're still swimming. The kids have soccer, so the weather's great. So let's squeeze in everything that we can before it rains or snows or gets cold or whatever. So you fight all that stuff on an afternoon show, and it's been a rough year. But the weather's changed now. This week is what we call our Harvest Cup, which is a 6-man tag tournament we do every year. This year we have some people coming in from other places, Crab Wrestling out of Maryland. We have a group coming from the Ring of Honor Dojo. So, and I don't mean one mean team has their own group. That hopefully that'll bring a few more people in than what we usually get. We usually just use our own guys and the people who usually help us out from other companies. We Halloween show, we had kids get in free if they're wearing a full Halloween costume. Because you can't don't show up with a hockey jersey and say you're Claude Giroux. That's not a Halloween costume. I'd let you get away with the full uniform minus the skates.
Okay.
But you got to do those things to draw people in. We tie in with the local Papa John's. They have coupons that they send out to every box of pizza that goes out the door. We have coupons placed in different places, different stores. Bulldozers Collectibles in the Berlin Farmers Mart. They have our stuff run by Matt Tremont. And there's a couple comic book stores and collectible stores and things like that have our flyers that have discounts on them, coupons, all that kind of stuff. So it's been a push this year to get people in, but I think now's the time we usually start really reeling them in. I shouldn't say reeling them in, but getting more people to come to the shows.
Yeah, that's good. Well, my part 2 of that is, sometimes wrestlers take like a double booking. So if they're working 2 shows a day, do you worry about their safeties, like in the first match or something like that?
Our guys are pretty smart wrestlers. I mean, there is the accident that happens, but our guys, what we do at OTW, none of it's really out of the way crazy stuff to get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really worry about it too much. But some of our guys who do the afternoon shows, yes, they do have bookings somewhere else that night. In fact, this weekend we have that, and there's a show in Bridgeton, New Jersey, maybe 40 minutes or so away from the OTW arena, and a lot of the guys are working that. A lot of guys, like I said before, work E2W up in North Jersey, so they'll do our show and go up there.
Yeah. So, Jim, tell people how much the tickets start at for your shows and when they run.
Well, every Saturday at 2, unless it's a weekend where we do a 7 o'clock show, and those vary. So I would go to the website, oldtimewrestling.net, and our schedule's on there as to what Saturdays are 2 o'clock, what Saturdays are 7 o'clock. And with the holidays coming up, there are weekends that we won't be open at all. So definitely check the schedule for that. Tickets, real easy. They're $12 at the door. For some of the night shows, we will sell advance tickets. And if you do buy the advance tickets, they're $10 as opposed to $12 at the door. And kids, no matter what, are always $5, whether it's a day show or a night show, are $5.
Yeah, and then for anybody who wants to become an aspiring wrestler, how do they contact you for that?
Go to the website. There's an email address on there. Just send an email to us about wanting to train, and we'll get you going. We don't wait until we have 5 guys or 10 guys and start everybody at the same time. We'll get you in. We'll get you acclimated, catch you up to maybe someone who's a few weeks or maybe a couple of months or whatever ahead of you, and so you won't feel like you're off on an island by yourself.
And oh no, go Jim.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say you can also follow on Old Time Wrestling at OTW updates too.
Right, at Twitter, yeah. And in fact, if you do plan on coming to a show, and again with the winter approaching, if there's inclement weather, on Twitter will be the first place it'll show up. Of course, we're also on Facebook, and you can give us a call at the office number, which is 856-513-6901, and there you can pre-order tickets. You can call about training. You can call about a birthday party. We do kids' birthday parties, and you can also check with our schedule if we've canceled due to any kind of inclement weather.
And throw out your own Twitter out there too.
Oh, now that's the difficult part. My own Twitter is actually how you spell my name. So it's at Jim, Jim, Molineaux. It's Molineaux. So it's at Jim Molineaux on Twitter.
Well, thank you so much, Jim, for taking out the time and talking with us. And hopefully,
Sure, not a problem. Glad to do it.
And hopefully we'll see you soon, man.
Yeah, come on down. Check out OTW. I always say I dare you to come and have a good time because you will.
Well, Jim, again, man, we'll have to take you up on that offer, and we'll see you soon, man. And for us, we are Wrestling IQ 101. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wrestling IQ 101. You can subscribe to the page, leave a like. Also, you can follow us on the B Plus Player Radio under Wrestling IQ 101. All right, see you guys soon.
You have just listened to the Wrestling IQ 101 podcast, powered by B Plus Player Radio.
One more for the good guy.